probably agree on.
Yeah, the playoff team for sure.
So do you.
I mean, I tell you what, I don't think there was a more accurate state. And
if they struggle again, I mean, I don't think there's any way you can keep Alex Critch, but.
What's going on, y'all? Bud Elliott here, back again for another edition of Summer School. That's our college football preview series here on the Cover 3 podcast. Today, I'm talking Mississippi State. I'm going to head to Gene's page. That's a longtime Mississippi State stalwart in the space. My man, Justin Fromer, first-timer on the show. Justin, welcome, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Exciting time to be covering the Bulldogs. And, all right, new coach Jeff Lebby, new coordinators, both sides of the ball, dealer's choice. How is this going to look different? You can take your pick what side you want to start on.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, I think people are expecting big numbers, big plays, a lot of points, and big scores just because of what was lost on the defensive side and what a Jeff Lebby offense is going to be brought into Starkville to do. So I think high scoring games in Davis Wade Stadium are expected this fall.
Quarterback Blake Shapen comes in from Baylor. What did they see in him that made him the choice in the portal?
I think it's his arm and his athleticism that made him the choice. He was sort of the underrated guy that not many people were talking about in terms of quarterback options in the portal for Mississippi State. Dylan Gabriel had that Oklahoma Jeff Lebby connection. He was sort of the guy people were expecting to at least come on a visit in Starkville and potentially be that guy that Jeff Lebby brought in to sort of bridge the gap as his first quarterback. And out of nowhere, Blake Shapen last winter, committed out of the portal, and people originally thought he was going to be maybe a backup option. They'll bring in a second guy, but no, this is the guy. And we sort of saw why in the spring game, why, Jeff Lebby thought so highly of him. He's got a big arm. He can make pretty much any throw on the field. He's got some running capabilities. We don't know how much we'll see of that in the fall just because of maybe some depth issues and experience issues behind him in the quarterback position. But we see, threw for 300 yards in one half of the spring game. Again, it is just a spring game, but some of the throws he was making in that game were impressive. We see why Jeff Lebby picked him to be the quarterback for his offense this year.
Quite a bit of defensive personnel overhaul, obviously, but I'm a little more interested in what are they trying to run? How does it look different than what they ran last year?
For the most part, I mean, we didn't get to see much in spring practice. We saw about 2 20-minute sessions all of practice, so we're still sort of learning ourselves what things are going to look like, especially under a first-time defensive coordinator in Coleman Hutzler. It's not like we have a track record to see what he does, what blitz packages, stuff like that. For the most part, I think it's going to look pretty similar in terms of formation from last year, where you're going to have 5 in the secondary, you're going to have 4 up front, and 3. I think I got that math right. 2 in the middle, 3 in the middle. But I mean, and we're still sort of finding out ourselves what things are going to look like and who's going to be where and mixes and matches on that side of the ball. That's sort of where the biggest unknowns are with this team is defensively. What are they going to look like? Who are they going to be? Can they even be semi-competitive on that side of the ball to keep the offense not having to score a touchdown every single possession of every game?
It looks like he's got quite a bit of background with Muschamp and then with Saban, Huntsler you mentioned. So I guess that kind of matches up. Little surprised they wouldn't give more practice access with a coach that needs to get off on the right foot and generate just more buzz. But obviously, any kind of points will generate some buzz after the offense that Mississippi State fans were subjected to last year, unfortunately.
No question.
All right, so let's fast forward, or depending on when we release this, rewind to SEC Media Day in Dallas this year, which is kind of wild to say, but it's a reality. Who's a player who will probably not make the preseason first or second team all SEC group, but might have a chance to be there come the postseason?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Stone Bland, the linebacker transfer from South Carolina. He had a pretty good year for the Gamecocks, and he's a Mississippi native, originally committed to Mississippi State baseball out of high school. And he's sort of getting brought in to help bridge that gap after losing Jet Johnson and Nathaniel Watson last year, the 2 top tacklers in the conference. Sort of that run stuffer, maybe a little bit pass rush and cover skills to him, but he's sort of been brought in as that experienced SEC linebacker to help be the veteran presence of that linebacker group and help that defense out a lot.
What are the positions where they can most survive dipping into their depth?
What do you mean by that?
What are the deepest position rooms?
Gotcha. Okay. No, I'd say wide receiver, especially on offense, is really big. And weirdly enough, they lose their 3 top wideouts from last year in Ledietrich Griffin, who's now with the Raiders in the NFL, Xavier Thomas, who transferred to LSU, and Justin Robinson, who's just committed to West Virginia out of the portal. But I feel like that group got significantly better than it did last year. You bring in a 1,000-yard receiver in Kelly Akari from UTEP. You bring in a slot guy that has some Power 5 experience in Kevin Coleman. He was at Louisville, started at Jackson State, but he seems to be somewhat of a speedster in the middle of the field and has that ability to get open for Blake Shapen. We saw that a lot in the spring game. And then you bring in four stars in the freshman class, and J.J. Harrell, Braylon Burnside, Mario Craver, and then Sanfrisco McGee, who's coming in this fall. And then you have a couple guys who lingered from last year too, and Creed Whitmore and Jordan Mosley, who showed spurts of being top wide receiver guys for a quarterback. And so I think that position group is going to be huge for Mississippi State, especially with how fast that offense is going to be moving and how many moving parts they're going to have to interchange between plays and drives.
What are the most meaningful fall position battles that you're going to be following?
I think secondary is going to be a big one. They brought in a couple transfers, Brian Lanier from the JUCO ranks at EMCC. They brought in a couple cornerback transfers, Diego Brumfield from Memphis and Montre Miller from West Virginia. That position group lost 4 out of the 5 starters, and the one returner was a true freshman last year. So there's a lot of unknowns in the back end for Mississippi State. Isaac Smith, a top freshman guy that sort of emerged in camp last year, saw some playing time last year and is expected to step into one of those safety roles. You have a couple veterans in Hunter Washington and Corey Ellington who have seen playing time over the past couple of years that are expected to step into starting roles and be veteran presences back there. So I think that group is going to be very interesting to see who emerges and takes over those starting spots. The
offense is better than the defense this year, right? Because last year the defense was way better than the offense.
Yes, that the expectation is that that offense is going to have to carry this team to wins at least through the majority of the season, especially with how tough this SEC schedule is for them this year.
I'm glad you brought that up. I guess if you're going to take your lumps, you'd probably rather have them in year 1 than year 2, because then if you have them in year 2 instead of year 1, it looks like a lack of progress, although that's not always the case, right? I mean, sometimes you can have an easy year 1 schedule and then a tough year 2 and actually have a better team in year 2, just maybe not a better record. But no Vanderbilt, no South Carolina. They do draw Arkansas, which is helpful. The non-con is probably tougher in name than it is in actual roster quality, since Toledo did lose so much of what it had last year, and Arizona State lost a decent number of guys to the portal as well. But still, I mean, I see Texas, I see Georgia, I see A&M, I see Tennessee, I see Missouri, and I see Ole Miss. This is a bowl is possible for this team, right?
It is possible. I mean, you look at the four non-conference games against Eastern Kentucky, Toledo, at Arizona State, and home against Massachusetts late in the year in November. I think the expectation is at least 4 wins there, and then you're sort of hoping to grab 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3, and maybe in home games against Arkansas, Texas A&M, and Florida. Now, who knows what all 3 of those teams are going to look like when they roll into Starkville, especially Florida and Arkansas with coaching hot seats going on over there, and then a lot of unknowns, I guess, in Aggie land too, and even Missouri at home. Missouri's good, but they lost a lot on defense, and home environments in college football can change a lot. So especially at the end of the year. So who knows with that game? I think there's a lot of potential to make a bowl game. It starts with going 4-0 in non-conference. You can't go out to Arizona State and lose. You can't, drop a home game against Toledo. So I think that's where it starts. And then you try to, pick spots, and hopefully you catch teams at the wrong time in SEC play.
And you mentioned catching teams at the wrong time. I think this is probably the wrong year to catch Missouri and Ole Miss, but in theory, because the expectations for those teams are so high, and the way that, especially Ole Miss, obviously, with being so portal heavy, it's not insane to think that they could come together for the common goal of making the playoffs. If they're already played their way out of the playoff, that maybe they're not quite as into it, although the Egg Bowl is its own crazy intense rivalry in and of itself. But I could see one of like Tennessee, Missouri, Ole Miss, all who have playoff aspirations, already being out by that point. That's their final 3 games for non-Mississippi State fans listening at home. Potentially maybe one of those teams lays an egg and Missouri or Mississippi State comes and smacks them. So I'm fascinated to see what Jeff Lebby can do here, man. This is going to be a lot of fun and see how he can build this thing back up. Because I think we know, well, at least when in the old alignment of the SEC, like we know what good Mississippi State looks like.
And I think excitement with him is higher just because good Mississippi State has usually correlated with really strong defense and multiple first rounders on that side of the ball, especially the defensive line. Think of Jeffrey Simmons and Chris Jones and all these guys in the past. But I mean, it's sort of flipped this year, like we've talked about, where offense is in big numbers and a lot of touchdowns and points are expected this year. So I think there's more excitement just because of it's not blue collar as much as it always has been with Mississippi State.
Absolutely. Justin, really enjoyed us. I know we'll be following all your work on Gene's page, following those fall position battles that you mentioned and all your coverage as well throughout the season, man. It's been fun.
Appreciate it.